You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!
All right, everybody, welcome to the show tonight. It is the 10th of September, 2025. It's 7:01 p.m. We're just gonna get right to it. And when we go through a day like today, and you live through a day like today, whatever's going on in your personal life, there is that. And then there are things that are, overarching. A good example is tomorrow, September 11th, 24 years later. Well, today, of course, if you haven't already known, there was the tragic death of Charlie Kirk. And it was not only just tragic, it was gruesome. And it was demonic. And when something like this happens, I don't really plan any speeches. Or I have a little bit of media, and I'm just going to open up the lines, and I just want to get reaction and see what people are working through, and things that you noticed, commentary, theories if you have them. I mean, I guess we can go deeper with this one, but even the surface level explanations is enough to make you go wild with rage, whatever the hell else it is. Charlie Kirk was assassinated today at a TPUSA event. And surreal is not the word. Of course, you also have his age, 31. He's got a couple of children, and that's the worst. I was a little bit more than a casual admirer of his work. I subscribed to him on YouTube, and especially all the shorts and stuff like that. It was the interactions, and just if you were ever on the other side of an issue, whatever. I'm thinking more so. Hey, a 31-year-old man had his life cut short. But also, I'm thinking about the children. I'm thinking about his children more than anything at this point, because what the hell can you do? What can you do? What else can you do at this point? And that kills me. And it's an indictment of the world that we're in. It's an indictment of the godless, heathen, demon wretches that we live amongst. And we're going to be able to talk about all that in depth tonight. It's going to be one of those heavier ones, and not one that we were really planning for. But then, you know what? In a way, I was going to talk about the death penalty tonight a little bit more, because of what we started last night with the very popular and also gruesomely tragic story about the knifing on the train in Charlotte that is getting around over the last couple of days. And then we have this, which is, dude, you want to talk about trauma? You want to talk about sending a message? Yeah, there's this is why it's terrorism. Because you're sending a political message. There's a chilling effect there. Don't leave your house and attend one of these things. Don't you dare try to do the work that Charlie does. But for the rest of us there too, what's attached to that is the trauma of seeing something so horrific. And if you haven't watched it, don't watch it. Seriously. Just take my word for it. You don't need to see it. You don't need to see it. If I never have to see that footage again, I would count myself blessed, but I'm sure that worse is coming. And let's just read a little bit here what's coming out. This is just from Zero Hedge real quick. Charlie Kirk assassinated at 31, shooter still at large. That is as of us going live right now. we have FBI Director Kash Patel, who said at 6:21 p.m., the subject for the horrific shooting today that took the life of Charlie Kirk is now in custody. Thank you to the local and state authorities in Utah for partnership with the FBI. We will provide updates when able. It's not the Larry David, Bernie Sanders looking guy. Within the first hour, there was video of this guy, this older guy with white hair, kind of horseshoed, bald head, and he's down on his knees and he's being escorted around. And, like, this is just the way of it. So there's no way to hold everybody back on the shoulder and say, hold, chill, wait. Everybody, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people took their turn wishing the man who ended up not being the shooter dead. This is why things are done to provoke people into their own responses, whatever that is. And we're going to talk about those responses soon. Agent provocateur. And what is all the level of skill? I want to talk about that. So apparently that they said that they have him in custody, wherever they are, that this shot came from about 200 yards out on top of a rooftop that was directly parallel to wherever Charlie was set up under that tent. Here's the critical information we know so far, as of an hour or so ago on Zero Hedge. Trump states on Truth Social, Charlie Kirk is dead. This is what he said. The great and legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he is no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and family. Charlie, we love you. So that was just a little while ago. He was shot from about 200 yards away, according to a spokeswoman for Utah Valley University. Someone seen on a roof of the building, and the AP confirms that the shooter is on the loose as of this publishing. Of course, we got that from the FBI director not too long ago. So that's really it. There's nothing else to talk about in that respect. I don't know. You can't listen. This is what someone like me sees coming, and I see as unavoidable to one degree or another. Now, I'm not saying that from the standpoint that some of these fucks. I'm going to say it's going to be a little bit of a raw evening tonight. At these low-life fuck bastards at the news networks have offered up as far as, well, they almost come from the standpoint of, not almost, they do. They come from the standpoint of, well, if you're in his line of work and if you say the things that he says, then this is almost like a toll you may have to pay. And perhaps, like, coming from my standpoint, my perspective, being in a similar line of work as Charlie Kirk, though his network, of course, dwarfs mine many times over, you never separate yourself too far from where this could lead you and who your work may come across, who may come across your work and just not be able to let something go. It's a very haunting kind of a thing that I'm sure not only I think about, but so that's something that I'm sure that Charlie Kirk even knew. I'm sure that he knew very well for a long time that there are people out there that mean to do him truly catastrophic harm. And no matter that black cloud, that anvil hanging over your head, you show up at work the next day because you're doing what you feel like you have to do. And that's just something that I resonate with at my own little level over here. But that's not so there is that shred of truth in there when you hear somebody on like an MSNBC or an NBC trot it out. There is that shred of truth, but on the truth is this tumor. Attached to the truth is this knotted tumor of, well, it wasn't necessarily that he was a public figure, and public figures are usually get the best and worst out of humanity. It was that he was a certain kind of pundit, and the things that he says are very harmful things. God forbid anybody stands up against wealth redistribution, and that's just where we are right now. And what I want to talk about tonight is really whatever the hell you want to talk about. So I'm going to open up the lines and see what you guys think. And I'm pretty sure that we will be able to get through the show. What have you learned? What have you thought about? All I keep thinking about is you can't reason with rabies. Yesterday, someone said that the train stabbing is being used as a way to make people think that it affects them directly and that it's right outside your home and that it's far much more removed from you than you think. And I said, no, not from a systemic standpoint. You know, there's a lot of people out there want to talk about systemic this, systemic that. Well, let's talk about the real system, what the real system promotes, what the real system protects, what it ensures carries on and metastasizes, the real system. When you think about the system that has been created to ensure that a malfunctioning subhuman, like the guy that was on the train in Charlotte, can be breathing free air, let alone on a train, and getting an opportunity to kill someone after a life of violent crime. That's something that we all have to deal with. That's a shot across the bow. That gives you a little bit more data to keep in your mind when you're thinking about situational awareness, where you're going to plot the events of your life to the best of your ability, where you're going to take your family for a vacation, where you're going to go out to dinner, who you're going to let out of the house for any reason alone, and where they're going to go. The system, from the courts to the psychiatric boondoggle that backs it up, the media and the companies they carry water for, innocent people are being led to the slaughter. Okay, some will be safer than others. Some will be more prepared than others. But when you have rabid dogs on the loose, what do you do? What do you do? How do you find them? How do you root them out? How do you remove them from society? 845, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, Frank. Condolences to anybody who is Charlie's fan. I think at this time, we have to understand Christianity as not just a religion, but a philosophy. And Charlie brought that out. And we use words like love and hate, and to love your enemy is to do what's right for them, in a sense. And you know, sometimes the best thing for a person is to be put down. That's nothing that transcends any sort of reality. You're literally doing the best thing for the person. So we talked 20 years ago. I talked to you the other night about 2008, being in the politics and whatever. Like, we understood at that point that the educational system was what we called weaponizing an entire generation, and to see the degree to which it ran rampant. I mean, there are small, like, very good groups of people within the universities, but I mean, if you look at the way the kids at Columbia University were attacked, we should have been talking about this. I mean, this is in Britain they call it two-tier policing. What they're trying to do is finally put the eyes on the fact that these people are the enemies of compassion, and you know what? Charlie would want us to talk to people, and I thought he had security, Frank. I thought that guy didn't roll without, like, fucking good security. So of course it's the 200-meter shot that took him out. But I hope you know what? I know Donald Trump right now is talking to his wife, and he's going to take care of that family. But there are love to you and all the Franklies.
I thank you, and I understand what you're saying, and especially when you said sometimes you know, putting a rabid dog down. Well, in this case, we'll see if the FBI has the dog. But it's a lot bigger than that. It's a lot bigger than that. and we're going in the second half. We're going to bring up the concept of the sanctuary and the reason why we picked my buddy Chad out there, who helps me with all my thumbnails, and I settled on the thumbnail for tonight's show because it's very, very interesting there about principles and things that are sacred in the old world, and then those who come here and movements that build that don't care about tradition, that don't care about the sacred, but they'll take advantage of them to shield them from any kind of responsibility and hold people who actually have morals and principles against the wall while evil continues to be perpetrated. Well, when do we get the Marion Cobrettis? Where's the Cobra response? I understand that there's the law. You know, everybody, when something like this happens, you say, well, what about vigilantism? But where are you aiming? Where are you aiming? Kind of, we know the sources of where all this shit comes from, but you know, this is why we are not the types to go out there, have something happen, and then we all go out there just looking for somebody or something to hurt or something to burn. That's not us. That's not us. Because there's a psychological and a systemic aspect to this that also needs to be addressed. Let's take a call. Jim from Maine. What's going on, Jim?
Hey, Frank. Tough, another tough day, man.
Very tough.
Another tough day. I was talking to a coworker, and we were talking about the flag that's going to have to be put half-staff. And he had a very apropos comment saying, he goes, man, this flag is down more than it's up.
It's true.
And it's true. It's like, that's just, you know, like you talked about, man, you think about the dude's family, Charlie Kirk. You know, as if you have kids, you know, you and I have children, you know, that's what you think about, you know, like growing up without a dad. And it's just sad. On so many levels. It's bad for the country. You know, Charlie Kirk, always followed his videos and watched his videos, and you always appreciated that, you know, hey, the guys who disagree with him most, he always gave them a voice to speak.
Yes.
You know, you could always come up to the mic. That's who he invited. You know, it was about civil discourse, you know, and we're so far gone from that. You know, it's just sad. And a couple of things, you know, I know a lot of people want to get on. I'll try to keep it brief. You know, it just seems like from a political side, it just seems like, you know, history just keeps on coming around and around. You just have a loose cadre of brown shirts that are mentally ill. That's what you have going on in this country right now. Mentally ill, loosely just out there, brown shirts, just the way they were in Germany back in the, you know, when Hitler's rise to power, squelching any type of free speech, any type of dialogue. You know, the brown shirts went after the communists and with violent acts to intimidate, and it's just the same thing.
Yeah,
I've already heard, you know, conservative speakers saying, you know, oh, you can't go out and speak anymore; it's too dangerous. You can't do it.
There's
that's exactly
yeah. That's the whole point. Yeah.
That's the whole point of it. And then from a symbolic side, right? You know, trauma on top of trauma, right? Trauma can impact a nation. That's proven over and over again. This happens on what? September 10th, September 11th. It's like the ushering in of something bigger is going to go down. I just have that vibe about it, that something not good is going to transpire from this. It's just something eerie about that. You know what I mean? It's like this. I mean, you know, you had the whole basically nation seen this. It's a public execution, basically.
Yeah.
You know, it's traumatic. My daughter called me. She was watching the live stream live when it happened. She was traumatized. You know, just watching Charlie Kirk get shot. And then tomorrow we get to, you know, hear about the towers going down once again and having all the footage shown in our face again. Trauma on top of trauma. And it's, I don't know what else to say. But what I do appreciate about Charlie Kirk was, you know, I'm not sure what denomination he was in, but, you know, I've heard him share more about Jesus Christ and the gospel And, from what I heard from him, I know he has eternal life because I heard him share the gospel with others. He believed in Christ. And he was like that. He shared the gospel wherever he went. So, yeah, I mean, the only savior for this world is Christ. I mean, because we're just going to go down deeper and deeper down a darker hole. I mean, it's sad to see. Oh, it's just a dark day, Frank. Don't mean to be a downer, but man, it is.
Listen, I don't know how I'm going to be able to pull this one up. And when something like this happens, I go live and I open up the lines, and I want to hear what's on people's minds, and hopefully something builds on that, and there's some clarity gained, or there's some perspective that is sharpened. I don't know, but thanks for the call, Jim. It's great to hear from you.
Yeah, Frank, it's not about trying to keep people up. It's just letting people get stuff off their chest tonight. Yeah. That's what it is.
Absolutely. All right. Have a good one.
Thanks, man. Have a good one.
You too. Let's just go right into another one. 413, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Frank. It's Grady from Massachusetts.
Grady, good to hear from you, and it's wonderful to have met you this weekend. What's on your mind today?
Yeah, well, I'll make it real quick with two things. One, the 1st of January was amazing. Had some wonderful people, including you. The other thing, you said something really interesting yesterday. You might remember I called him about death penalty every week, every day. A point of if you have a capacity to stop a mass murderer or shooter, you should. In fact, I would argue you have the obligation to if you can. But an hour later, guys in custody and everything changes.
Yeah.
I'm still worried about corrupt judicial system, but I think there are certain cases like terrorism, like Ukrainian girl's murder and Kirk's murder, assassination, that definitely call for the most extreme punishment, because the whole point of these crimes is to terrorize people. It's not like a crime of passion or one-off. It's terrorism, and that definitely deserves the ultimate punishment. That's all I really got.
Well, that's more than enough for tonight. Great, and thank you so much for the call. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And the goblins are out. The goblins are out, man. Sneering, laughing. Every live stream you go into that was just, like a news network that was covering it, the sneering, the laughing because of this, because of death. To quiet a person's thoughts forever through gruesome death is a victory to the ghouls who live among us and have the low IQ audacity to call themselves liberal as well. Many of them have the low IQ audacity to call themselves liberal. Now, rest assured, when a famous neocon, neo-lib politician dies, when a George Soros kicks the bucket one day, or whatever the hell's going on, you'll find examples of people commenting that the world is a better place because they're not in it anymore or whatever, and judging where their respective souls are at that time in eternity. Hell, we just went through that with Hulk Hogan and Ozzy Osbourne. You think that people aren't going to muster up hot takes for public figures that are in politics? And it's just going to happen. But it's another thing altogether when you are happy that a 31-year-old father of two was gruesomely murdered because you disagree on things like wealth redistribution. You disagree, but you don't have an argument, so you want them dead. And because you never have a thing like an argument, because the left especially never has an argument, you always fall back on just accusing your opposition of doing things like trying to commit genocide. So your starting point is this completely disillusioned place where the people who are trying to present reasonable, common sense policy positions and usually trying to balance out the scales of liberty, individual liberty, and the role of the state to regulate humanity. You can't grasp that, but you also can't compete with it. So you take this ridiculous stance about death, about everybody is a genocidal lunatic, everybody is an offshoot of a Hitler or whatever other, the tin pot dictator you learned about your entire life to just lump everybody you don't like into with that. So because of that extreme position, I understand why these low IQ, soulless, godless ghouls out there would laugh and take enjoyment in the footage of a 31-year-old father of two being destroyed, having his life just squelched out of existence. That's where they are. Now, there are terrible people out in the world with terrible messages, and if if you're a decent human being, you want to defeat those arguments. You want to see those arguments defeated in very public ways. Because you want to see it defeated. You want to see it bankrupted. The left knows that there is no intellectual or economic victory to anything that they put forth, okay? There's no pot of gold at the end of their rainbow. There's nothing there, okay? All they had was someone perched themselves somewhere. Now, disagree with him on whatever the hell one topic or another, but he was a high-functioning human being, Charlie Kirk was, and his debate appearances and his rallies, his dialogues moved the needle for people. You know, my cousin got in touch with me, because of course once things like this happen and we all start texting each other, and my cousin got in touch with me and said it's not like he was a politician. He said it's not like he was a politician. He was a debater. He just talked about everything and anything. And I told her, I said, listen, he moved the needle. Nobody gives a shit about politicians. Politicians don't. I mean, obviously, there's people out there who'll take pot shots at a politician too. You lump it in, and it just becomes points on the game. But he was that makes people even more of a threat. If you are a clear communicator, politicians are hated, but they don't really move the needle for people that much. Donald Trump is a very, very unique situation, but people like Charlie Kirk moves the needle. There are people on the fence, and they see two ideas come together, and one just completely shatters under basic scrutiny, and that makes a new awakened soul, and that's it. That's the only way that some people know how to stop it. 484, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Frank, it's AK.
Hey, AK, how are you?
I'm all right. That video was just so crazy. I'm glad that you were just bringing up about how Charlie Kirk moved the needle. He actually did a lot, especially for Gen Z. I think he was probably one of the most influential people regarding getting election votes from Gen Z. He's been playing a lot of those kids. They're the ones that are tired of the pronouns and all the trans, the weird stuff going on. And I'm wondering, he totally was assassinated. Okay, who did this? Do they know anything about this guy yet, or this person yet?
I don't know, but one of the things I was going to ask people in the chat tonight, if we have, I wish maybe I could open up a second line just for our friends out there who are in the military, or if you are not only seasoned military but also seasoned hunters. If you can, what seems to be what the agreed upon distance here is 200 yards. For anyone in the audience who's seasoned in this respect, please can you please call in to talk about the skill level that we're talking about to hit that target, the carotid artery. I think it was meant for the head, but they got lucky and. Either way, from neck to head at 200 yards. I just want to know if anybody out there can comment on that from a skill level, because there are tons of people who are very rightfully speculating about what might be behind the motives, or who might have employed the shooter, what this is all about, because it is a trauma. Things like this is all about behavior modification. It was not only to modify Charlie Kirk permanently by making sure he never made an appearance ever again. But it's there to make people uncomfortable about the idea of even leaving the house and going to something like that ever again. I mean, you think that I'm totally comfortable being here tonight, you know, and what's this show compared to Kirk's? So it's that chilling effect, and I just wonder from what level does that come down?
I agree. Like, it seems like it was definitely well thought out, and yeah, I want to know who was behind it too. And I agree. Anybody from the military or training with gun experience, definitely call up. So I'm interested to hear about that too. But yeah, it's just really sad and very traumatic. Like, I'm sure you saw that video of the close up. Oh gosh, it was like a fountain coming out.
Yeah, no, it was not good. And thanks for the call. That's why I say if you haven't seen it, there's no reason to.
Yikes.
No reason to. But have a good night, AK. Thanks for the call.
You too.
All right. Take
Bye.
care. All right, let's go. 352, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Frank, how you doing tonight?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Calling you from cooling off Florida. Pretty shocking news about Charlie Kirk. And I just wanted to pose a little analysis or theory. One of the things that happened today was he was doing the question and answer or debate on the campus. And from what I understand is he was assassinated as soon as the question of guns and the transgender movement or transgender shooters specifically arose. Then the shot rang out and he was killed. I got on YouTube, and one of the interesting things, are you familiar with the Zizian kind of cult or movement?
Yeah, we read a little bit about them a couple of months ago, but
right.
Yeah.
So if it's just Andy No, who's been at the center of this whole Antifa rising out west, he's shifted towards this militant rising in the transgender movement. And it's recently happened. When I say recently, within the last 15 days, we had the shooter of the Catholic school and church. And that was like only 11 days ago, I believe. And Andy Knows was on Newsmax, I think, or one of those. And it's a YouTube clip. And he was talking about these Zizians and the strain within the Antifa movement of this, not only fervor, but the militancy and the arming of these transgender activists.
Okay, so are you waiting to see whether or not this was a transgender assassin? Is that what you're saying?
Well, what I'm saying is when you start looking at some of the tea leaves that are out there for open analysis, 2025, some of this stuff has started to escalate since the beginning of the year. And we are within, 10, 11 days of another transgender shooter. And then he was shot as soon as a question rang out in the Q&A. So what I'm saying is it could have been organized. In other words, that question was the marker point for the shooter. Okay, and the shooter was obviously skilled, and it was a high-powered rifle from.
Well, I just so that we can keep this moving along, all I'll say is that I don't know. I thought I heard, because I'm not going back to listen to it. I know that this was early on in the event, and I think one of the last things that he had mentioned was something about gang violence. I don't know if it was anything about transgenderism, or I don't know what the question at hand was, but I think at that there's going to have to be a little bit more of a and thanks for the call. There's going to have to be a little bit more of evidence coming together to make it seem like he was, whoever the hell was behind the actual shot being taken, was waiting for some kind of a cue to leave a mark that was based on a subject matter. I think that, at least from what I'm seeing right now, the decision was made and Charlie was going to be taken out. And it was going to happen early on. And I really don't think that the question being asked at that very moment was going to be that important. If that's just my gut telling me that. Because, yeah, I mean, we hear a lot about genocide this, genocide that, and it usually usually comes down to whether, identity groups, self-identity groups, what regarding sexuality or gender or whatever. We hear a lot about that stuff, but I don't really know. I think that's going to be secondary to anything else that we learn in the next couple of days. Let's take a call from Frank. Frank Zell. What's going on, Frank?
Hey, Frank. What's happening, man?
Well, just sitting here taking calls, listening to what people's thoughts are.
See, and this is good why you do cover the news, Frank, because when these major events happen, your listeners, are coming to you to kind of vent in a way. So it's good that you cover these big stories and news stories. I know it sucks for you in a way, but
no,
it's good.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, I'd rather the subject matter not be a young father dying. But when a big story, there's other things that can be just as big that doesn't have to do with death. That's actually the hell's that?
Here. Oh no, my brother hopped back on the phone with me since you were looking for some military experience. I figured I'd get.
Oh, okay. Well, listen. Oh, okay. So now Frank and Jim are back. Okay, cool. No. On nights like this, it's actually it's not a bother. Like when Epstein, you have news about Epstein. I couldn't get back into New York faster. I got the news about Epstein in 2019 when we were in Massachusetts for a graduation party or something. I couldn't get back home fast enough to do a special thing and just open up the line. So I'm not averse to current events, but the event, it definitely dictates itself. But you guys, now that I have both of you on and you're coming from a military perspective, maybe we can get the hunting perspective elsewhere. 200 yards, and then of course the target. What are we talking about here, and what does that tell you about the way that the person that's the trigger man was trained?
You want me to go, Jim? You want to go?
Yeah, you can go, Frank. It's fine.
Well, 200 yards. You're not going to just be a leftist who's mad at Charlie Kirk, and you're just going to grab a rifle and you're going to go up there and you're going to shoot him from 200 yards out. That's not how it's done. There is skill involved. There's breathing involved. There's keeping your nerves at bay. There's knowing the type of weapon that you're firing, the trajectory of the bullet when you fire it, the angles. All that comes into, there's a lot. You have to be proficient with your weapon, and you have to practice over and over and over.
Yeah, my brother's spot on there. It's like, this isn't somebody who just took up a rifle and decided to shoot somebody. This is somebody who's obviously shot quite a bit. When I was in the service and we trained and we were shooting with, we were training and practicing on different optical sites from different countries that we were planning on using, sites from, all over the world, Japan, Britain, Germany. We were practicing these sites. We were able to put bullseyes with these sites from 300 yards, because we were shooting every day. So, with an optical sight, it's amazing how, where you can place bullets. But this is after regular shooting, day in and day out. Like my brother said, breathing is very important. So yeah, this is not somebody who's like just picked up the weapon for a first time. This is somebody who's obviously used the weapon over and over.
And Jim, even with the sights, right? It's not like the movies. Oh, you just put the crosshairs on them. The slightest movement, and you're missing your target. You may not even feel your movement. And you're gonna miss. That's right. It's so fine. It's such a fine that. Yeah, when you're shooting like that for distance, and the other dead giveaway that this guy had, whether he's ex-military or he's been hunting for a long time, Jim, like, we were discussing this before. He already had him lined up. He was patient.
He was patient. When he was listening to the question, he was already sighted. And when he was just listening to the guy speak, and then he picks up the mic and he's about to answer the question, then he shot. Like, he was already sighted at that point. So it makes you wonder, this guy already had him lined up. And, we were discussing it on possibly where was he planning on shooting him. To be honest with you, 3 options. Either he was going for the headshot and went low, and my brother mentioned he was going for the heart and he shot a little high, or maybe they were trying to do the Martin Luther King and shoot him in the mouth.
That's how they did. That's how they did Martin.
Yeah. I was thinking that too, because from the first thing I saw was the far-sighted footage, and I thought that he took a shot to the chest, and then we got the close up, and it was very clear it was something else. So let me ask you guys this: so that establishes, at least in your estimation, what kind of skill set the shooter would have had to have from your gut now, because of course there can't be anything else. Just knowing the world we're in, the country we're in, the way that everything is kind of simmering and being brought to a boil, and it's always boil and then calming down, whatever. What do you think about level of orchestration? Is this lone wolf who has a whole bunch of skill?
I'm just going to say it just how you said it, Frank, regarding Charlie Kirk, how he was very important in the movement of conservatism and, reaching the younger generation and destroying arguments. And he was reaching a whole base. I believe this was, it's probably more complex. And the guy they first arrested, I heard one of the witnesses, one of the earlier witnesses that were interviewed said that you had people confessing to the murder, confessing to the killing right then and there.
Yeah.
Like,
I heard about this too. I heard about
that
too.
Who starts confessing right there? And the guy they took in, even though he wasn't the shooter, they arrested him from obstruction of justice. Because I bet you he's one of the guys that confessed. So he probably confessed, which took manpower away, and police were focusing on him rather than looking at the guy who was on the building and trying to make an escape with the crowd.
No, that's
another. I'm sorry, Frank. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that is going to be a very interesting thing to see if there is any rounding out of that story and collection, an overall collection of testimony about people who were saying that they were the shooter, like those false confessions. It's a very crazy statistic at this point that I've heard a couple times today. I'm glad you brought it up right here. What the hell could that even? What the hell? Like what motivates not just one person but multiple people to say it was me?
Yeah, Frank. And usually that happens, when there's a killing spree going on, and people will walk down to the police department and say it's me. It's been me the whole time. It doesn't happen a minute after a shooting, and people are lining up saying it was me. That is so bizarre. Yeah. That makes no sense.
It just seemed like a diversion. And the other key point about how this guy it's either ex-military or avid hunter and has been firing this since he was a kid. He only fired once.
That's it.
That was it. Usually some enraged maniac is going to try to pump as many bullets into you, and he could have. He could have fired again and maybe got a chest shot in to be sure, because he did hit him in the neck. But with that type of rifle, he was dead as soon as the bullet went through. There was no saving him.
I mean,
if they got him to the hospital, the security team, they should be commended. If he had a heartbeat, he fired once.
Pure assassination. Charlie Kirk was the lone target and didn't even fire into the crowd, and there was a lot of people to shoot at.
He fired once not to give away. He fired once not to give away his position. That's why he didn't do a second shot. He knew it, the type of weapon he had. A next shot would be sufficient enough. He stopped firing, probably started disassembling his weapon, and probably walked out with the crowd that was running. And then never mind, you got authorities being diverted by people claiming to be the shooter.
Yeah,
That's
bizarre.
I know it's all very interesting and strange and of course tragic. Thank you both for calling in. I'm glad I was able to talk to both of you tonight, and we got you at the same time, so that's great.
Frank, can I say one last thing? I know everybody's very sad tonight, very upset. Tough to, the wife, the kids, and I hope that report is wrong by the Telegraph and that they weren't there, because that's the report out now, that the family was there. Charlie, most people in this world, they're going to live, they're going to work a job they don't like. They pretty much just walk around in just obscurity and lost, and then they die. Charlie Kirk he led an amazing life. He was great at something. He was great at speaking. He believed 100% in what he was doing, and he died doing something he believed in. And there are worse deaths than that. Even though at 31, horrible, but still, there's worse way to go out than than dying for what you believe in.
Well,
so there's a little bit of solace there, but that's it.
A little bit of solace, indeed. Well, thank you guys again, and I'll talk to you both soon.
Yeah. All right, Frank.
All right, see you later. It's exactly what the kind of show I thought we were going to have tonight. 779, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, Frank.
Hi, who's this?
I just wanted to. This is Christine in Rockford, Illinois.
Hello, Christine.
Hi, I just wanted to say how brave Charlie was, because he knew the risk, and he went and did it anyway. He made such a difference, and he was very important. And I think that because he was going into universities and talking to students and changing their attitude and getting people over to the right side, that was a big threat, and maybe that's why they took him out, because this was professional, this was premeditated, and he was making too much of a difference, and they couldn't beat him in debate, so they had to eliminate him.
I think most people are probably thinking in line with you right there. I mean, that's just you hope that you strike the shepherd and the sheep will kind of scatter a little bit like that. And well, he was that shepherd for a lot of people. He, just by his touring and by the activities of TPUSA, he brought a lot of young Americans to the table. He brought a lot of light to dark places for people who thought that they were one way and voted one way and lived one way, and then saw a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. It was intellectually challenging for people and illuminating in that respect. And so, yeah, there's no doubt about it that's what will make you a big target when there are far more powerful organizations out there that really profit off of the ignorance, the violent ignorance of people who are really worthless. And thank you for the call.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I was talking with my brother not too long ago. I don't know. I know some people are out there like, do not respond with violence. And like, yeah, no, well, we're not the type to respond with violence. We're not the type to respond with violence. We're not the type to get onto a train and stab a random person in the neck to make one demonic point or another. I don't know. We would just like to see animals around us dealt with like animals. As I think that would benefit all decent people, regardless of their affiliations. But we are dealing with a gaslighting cult that has a death wish. A death wish. They don't value their home. They don't value their own lives. They are willing to destroy themselves for what? For absolutely nothing. And so yeah, aside from being personally prepared, when you say, "Oh, this is going to lead to a war," because I'm sure you saw that out there today. Tell me what you think that means. Because we're not mentally ill. They are. which is why you see this only happening in overwhelming ratio, one side to the other. You know, it's very easy to identify a target for them because everything in the Bolshevik worldview is superficial and based on victim mentality, ancient victim mentality. So it's very easy for them to pick their targets. We really don't have a target list. We want to defeat people in elections, and we want to be mainly left alone, and we also want to be able to be free to defend ourselves when some of those miscreants come and find themselves on our front porch. But other than that, there's no going back out there and trying to find somebody. You know, it'd be great if the person that is responsible for this, if they actually are caught, would be publicly executed. I would like to see some public executions. We just saw one today. Okay? That was very hard to see. It would not be hard to see the life slip away from the animal that was involved in the murder today. It would not be hard to see. It'd be gratifying. The animal on the train, I'd love to see ripped limb from limb, skinned, flayed. I want to see that. That would be gratifying. I have a harder time watching a rabbit get skinned when somebody out there, a hunter, is making stew. I have a hard time watching that. I would be able to drink my morning coffee and watch the train stabber be flayed. Let's take another one. 517, you're on the air.
Sorry about that. Didn't mean to make any background noise here.
It's all right. How are you? Go ahead.
Well, still breathing.
You got
a couple of things.
You got to hold on. You got to turn off the stream in the back.
I know. You know what I did, and it just doesn't cooperate.
Just turn it off. It's okay.
There we go.
There you go.
Fine. Oh, it keeps. Hold on here, guys. Sorry about that.
Keeps turning itself.
I don't have much time. Frank, this is Mark.
It's good to have you.
You got to take care of your own program. And you're doing a great job. Real quick here, number one, the team that saved him did save him probably because they had some kind of military experience, which is typically the case with security. I cannot emphasize enough, everybody, you need a personal IFAK system set up for your own use. Go look it up. Just go to YouTube, look up IFAK. It's tough because when a person's hurt like this, it's a mess. But you don't give up on the patient. You don't give up on the casualty. Always remember that. I've heard this over and over again. Oh, I just knew he was dead. Guys, I've seen far worse with people in horrific condition survive something like that. So the first rule is don't let your eyes condition you to failure. You've got to accept the idea that whoever's hurt, you've got to fix. You've got to at least help. This is planned. This is part of a bigger agenda. This is definitely part of a wave. So everybody needs to be squared away, pay attention, keep your head on a swivel. Usually it's a 1, 2, 3 punch as far as with the propaganda wave. The girl that nobody knew anything about for 2.5 weeks, all of a sudden you and I know about, and you saw how horrible that was.
Yeah.
Then you have a public execution with a master. Whoever did this did not have to be a sniper grade shooter. I will say this. 200 yards is an intermediate shot for most riflemen who have any kind of scope experience, okay? Placing the shot and keeping it where you want it, that is where, yes, a little bit of repetition and experience is absolutely necessary. But as long as you keep it approximately where you want it, and if you're looking in the throat or the groin, you're going to hit something that's going to kill the person. As long as you're in the throat area, if it, like you said, goes high, hits the head, goes low, hits the heart, hits the pulmonary system, etc. But there's going to be something else. And like you said, 9/11's around the corner. Whoever it is that's playing this game has to have something bigger than 9/11 when this hits. Everybody understand that? They've already done 9/11. 9/11's old, it's got to be bigger. Every time you have a government-sponsored terrorist attack, and this will be, just like this was, a government-sponsored terrorist attack, it has to be bigger or it is not impressive. So that's what we need to be watching for. There are too many other bad things happening with the economy, There are too many other things, bad things happening with regard to our, personal security and our personal privacy. They're bringing this all to a head, to a culmination for, whatever. Well, we know why. Power. It's purely power. The big thing is keep an eye on your own people. IFAK. IFAK. The other thing about that, lean towards the people who push clamps. That's probably what saved him initially. They used arterial clamps, which you can carry. And even with a terrible wound like that, you can keep most of the body fluid where it belongs. Not the part that you lose with the initial rupture and the expansion, but you can keep your people alive. And if you can get them to where there's better medical attention, we're not in a war zone yet. If you can get them to the hospital, they've got all the time they need to focus on keeping the person alive. Never give up on your patient. Never.
Mark,
remember that.
Mark Kernkey. Mark Kernkey, thank you so much for the call. I'm just glad you're out there watching. I'm sure you're getting ready to do your broadcast in a few minutes, but I'm glad you took a few minutes to call in over here.
Everybody's doing a great job of, just keep everybody focused on preparing, because there's something evil afoot. This is wicked. This is the kind of wicked that wants to put it out in front of you where they can make you hurt.
It is. It is.
Dude, you know as well as I do. That girl, you got to see something that not many people get to see firsthand. You saw the fear and the absolute crisis in the face of that girl that was killed. Imagine if it was you and everybody else that's there. Not one of them helped. Not a single person stepped up even to stop that woman from bleeding. You think about that. That's why things have got to change, but it's not going to change without a conflict. That's just all there is to it. Anyway, I'm going to get to your rate. God bless you. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. That's everybody. That's Mark Kernkey, and we've got a number of episodes with him on the books right now. Very interesting, and I'm glad it got through. Well, I mean, the conflict aspect. That's what I would like to know from you guys as we're heading into the second hour and the final hour of the show. What's the conflict of it all? I mean, where does it go from here? We know who the aggressors are. I mean, you want to look at here's a couple of media clips I have for you. Here's a couple of media clips I have for you. This is MSNBC in their own little way saying that Charlie had it coming.
Then lead to hateful actions. And I think that's the environment we're in, that people just, you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
Matt,
and that's the unfortunate environment we're in.
Turning Point USA has confirmed that he was shot. And there are a number of videos
that lead to hateful actions.
It was, you can't just go out there and be hateful constantly. Can't be hateful. Because, of course, standing against something like Obamacare is hateful. That's hate. How can you be so hateful? Good golly. Here's another. I don't even understand what the hell this is, but, it's one of those MSNBC women.
In which a shooting like this happens.
Yeah, and again, emphasize what you just emphasized. We don't know any of the full details of this. That we don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no idea.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the average TPUSA debate usually resembles Libya 1985, shooting their guns into the air in celebration. Right. Okay. This is the reason why this stuff happens. These are the people. And these are the mealy-mouthed positions that they take when something pops off where secretly they're a little satisfied. They're a little satisfied when someone who's far more effective as an individual is kind of either brushed to the side or taken down a notch or eliminated altogether. An individual who has a greater media footprint than their entire network does a couple times over. That's what they like. That's the kind of shit that they like. What's this one now? This is, I just don't know, man. And like I said, some people say don't respond with violence. Well, Anthony, my brother, before he left tonight, he said, why are they the only ones who are really mostly so violent? And this comes down to what are you going to do? when you see something happening, we said this last night before this was a thing, and we were going to talk about it in some way, and now the subject has just gotten bigger. The train. When you see a stabbing, when you see a mindless, violent animal, a subhuman, ghoul, freak, kill somebody and put their subhuman nature on display, and they show everybody in very distinctive ways that they are a threat to anybody decent around you. If you had a gun on your in a society that was in any way, shape, or form had its shit together, he would not have been able to take a couple of steps in that train without being riddled with lead. And everybody who emptied a magazine into him would have been completely vindicated. And that would have been good, right? Well, what happens when an hour later, without any bloodshed, a man who is, we know he's guilty, there he is on tape, slashing somebody or doing, you have somebody there dead to rights, it's it. But now they're in custody. And now in custody, they need to go through the process. They need to go through the process. And that is the process that I no longer really feel serves anybody anymore. You know? It's like, no, this person still needs to be removed from the earth. And let's get a move on too. Quickly. Yes. Speedy trial. You get a trial tomorrow where everybody gets to watch you kill an innocent person, and then we're going to strangle you to death right there in your seat. You're not even going to leave the courtroom alive. We're going to strangle you right here. So Anthony, we were talking, he said, well, why do you think there, you see this violence just coming in a certain direction? I said, well, let's be honest here. The left-wing political world, and this does not include everybody, obviously, but you just never know who's watching for the first time. The left-wing political world is at the epicenter of diagnosed and undiagnosed mental illness. It's at the epicenter. Okay? The strongest tenets of the party's platform is rooted in the subjective human identity issues of the day that are all so very popular. These people that they have radicalized, that they have enabled in one way or another, those props, the mentally ill people who are willing to either take a person out or at least sit back and express outward glee. It takes a really sick person to show that kind of glee. That kind of glee, to laugh maniacally because a 31-year-old father of two just had his head nearly blown off, clean off. And these people, these props, that's what they are, these playthings, they need to go back into the toy chest. And when I say the toy chest, I mean the insane asylums. That's number one, okay? All of the Machiavellian freaks that are out there at MSNBC, CNN, and then all of the internet subsidiaries below them, all of those Machiavellian freaks out there who know just the thing to say to get all of the crazy, drugged out, doped out, traumatized MK Ultra minions to create mindless or a little bit more organized havoc on vulnerable groups. All their playthings need to be taken away. Okay? All right? The mental illnesses that everybody puts in their profiles, and they have their own emojis now because they're superpowers instead of things that need to be dealt with in controlled clinical environments. You got to go away now. All right? Got to go away. That's it. That's number one. Number two, I saw something about the pharmaceutical advertisements that they were looking at They're looking at how they can curb this or regulate the pharmaceutical ads on television and all that stuff. And I haven't read into the headlines today a little bit more, but as of yesterday, I heard something like that they were just going to force the pharma companies to just list the side effects more, which they already go on for minutes upon minutes upon minutes. Three quarters of every pharmaceutical commercial is people reading the worst of the side effects. That's not all the side effects. They just got the worst ones out there. So what are you going to do? You're going to make all the pharmaceutical commercials 2 minutes long instead of a minute long, just so we can get a couple of more minutes worth of side effects? They need to be taken off. They need to be taken off. And why? And what's the biggest reason why? Because the economic lifelines for the networks need to be severed. I want them all to die on the vine because all their salaries are coming from these companies. Okay? If they're going to continue to be these horrible organizations, squawk box or organizations that turn people against each other and make people's minds into mashed potatoes, then by all means, let's just do the right thing and take pharmaceutical ads off of the television. They don't belong there in the meantime, and they just so happen to be the lifeblood of all of these freaks. So that's it. Conservatives aren't locking and loading right now, going hunting for liberals. No, that just doesn't happen. That will not happen. Okay? But the other side does that because they're mentally ill and they're spiritually corrupted. That's it. I mean, I'm sure you saw that the train killer, there's some, this was shared earlier on today, the train killer talking about all the voices in his head, telling him to do things. That's like Jerry Marzinski level stuff there. Going to have to talk to him about that on the 17th. But, yeah, let's take some more calls. 973, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Frank, it's Jeremy.
You said Jeremy? Oh, Jeremy.
Yes, sir.
Jeremy Ryan Slate.
Yes, that's the same one.
Jeremy, welcome back to the show. I wish it was under better circumstances, but what's on your mind, man?
I got to tell you, man, the thing that hit me the hardest here is as a dad, because his two girls are the same age as my middle child and my youngest, and it hits really hard, man. And I had a chance last year when I was at the RNC. Rumble invited me into their studio, and I actually got to spend some time talking to Charlie. And he's a super, super friendly guy because, in the business we're in, not all these people that we meet in this world are super nice. And he was just a super personable and nice guy. And honestly, the thing that worries me the most about this man is he was the voice of reason, right? He was the one that was trying to have these conversations and these debates in a way that wasn't really about name calling. And I think the conversation is going to be greatly hurt in addition to, the hurt his family has now.
Yeah, I know. It's a fucked situation. It really is. It really is. And I don't know. I appreciate you calling in tonight, making time. Because this is, I know you had a little bit more access to those events, and you're a little bit closer in degrees of separation than I was. But still, like I said, I was only ever nothing really more than a casual admirer of his work, just through shorts and things like that. But I would watch it and make it, and you can definitely see the impact, you can see the momentum, and you understand it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I can't say I was somebody that was, listening to his show all the time and whatnot either. But I definitely listened to the Thursday night show he did with Jack Posobiec every week. And, had some really good conversations on that show.
Yeah. Well, in any rate, Jeremy, it's great to hear from you. And I'd love to have you back in the studio sometime soon. I'm sure we'll work that out. But in the meantime, please, you and your family just be safe and as happy as you can make them.
My best to your wife and daughter, Frank.
All right, thank you, everybody. Jeremy Ryan Slate, He's got his own show. He's been in the studio a couple of times. Let's just keep taking your calls. You guys are on the you guys are in the spotlight tonight. 432. Go ahead.
How you doing, Frank? It's Jay and Beverly in Nashville.
Hello, you two. It's good to hear your voices.
It's good to hear you. We tried to call in Monday, but we couldn't get through. But just had a wonderful weekend with you, and can't wait for the next event. Just wanted to shed a little light on today's event. It just really shows how important what you do is, Frank. Just being a voice of reason. And I want you to know we pray for you every day for your safety.
Well, I appreciate that, and I anytime somebody tells you that they pray for you, I'm very honored by that. And this has something like this has a real chilling effect on a lot of people who do anything in media, no matter where it is. If you're a blogger or if you're any kind of correspondent, it's one of those things like I don't know. It's like it's for a more common experience. You go on YouTube and you watch a road rage video, road rage gone wrong or something like that, and you think like, holy shit, that can happen. That can happen to anybody. And this is just one of those very strange. I don't know. This is more cultural than it is professional, anyway. But I appreciate your prayers, and you guys are really nice for calling in. Anything else you want to say?
Well, I was going to call you about the event in Charlotte. You almost took the words out of my mouth. On today's event is exactly what I posted this morning. This man obviously has some problems. He's ill. I mean, I couldn't believe Van Jones was defending him on television. He clearly is a sick person, but he's a person who doesn't need to be in society anymore. He needs to have his trial today, and he needs to be gone tonight.
That's it. That's all it comes down. And I saw Van Jones talking about the guy was hurting or whatever the hell the line was. I don't even give a shit enough to bring it up, because it's what else are we going to what are we going to do? Again, this is just par for the course. You get this.
Well, there are a lot of people hurting that don't go out and stab innocent young women on a train.
Yeah, I know, but they're so crafty. They have a tendency to find a policy reason why all the people that are going nuts right now are going nuts. There's some sort of a policy reason why, something that wasn't enacted years ago. There was money that wasn't spent the right way. That's why people are going nuts right now. It's nothing else. It's nothing more than that. And of course, all they try to do, these lib types on CNN, Van Jones, and all the rest. All they try to do is give a little bit of brotherly advice to their political counterparts out there, in hopes that they can make a better world where everybody has every need satisfied by the central government, and every thought monitored by their AI and everything else. Just a wonderful world that they're piecing together for us. Anyway, Jay, Bev, thank you so much for calling.
Appreciate you, brother. Have a great day.
All right. Take care. All right. Let's see. I'm going to go more to your calls in just a second, but let me just do some super chats and see what everybody's saying. Lauren says, I just wanted to acknowledge the staff around Charlie who knew more shots might be coming, but stayed in place and tried to save his life. God bless them. You're 100% right. I had that thought when I saw another angle of it. It was just, if he were, I don't know. It was so catastrophic. I didn't see any situation. I know Mark Kernke called in before and said, we've been in situations where you think that all hope is lost and suddenly there's hope. And then, we were getting, there's a couple of hours where we were getting reports that he was alive and stable, but critical. And, you're praying. I would be praying if it was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, God forbid, I would be praying. Save this dimwit, please. She's a dimwit, but save her. You know, that it's just there's just two different types of people. And but it was there I couldn't see a situation where that was going to turn out good. Live Free or Die says, I believe the speech Charlie gave at Oxford is very important. He called them all out while saying he never He called them all out while saying he never went to university. YouTube won't let me send the link from Charlie's channel. He called them out by saying he never went to university. I mean, I've seen him say that before. I've seen him, but you're talking about Oxford? I don't know if I've seen that in particular, but I've seen exchanges like that where, of course, all of the college know-it-all positions would be like, where's your degree? Where'd you go to college? And Charlie's just didn't do any of that stuff, but is so clearly overeducated compared to them, who are actively putting themselves into decades worth of debt just to come out dumber than the way they came in. And if there's anything that Charlie Kirk also did to save a lot of people, it's to really weed out those who should be in college a little bit more, and everybody else getting into a trade and starting your life already. Because I'm sure he saved a lot of people who were making a big mistake just trying to figure it out for 4 years and $87,000. Let's see here. Thank you. Hello Kitty says, incoming, more gun laws. No, I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen in this case. I don't know what the state of Utah does, but I don't think that this is going to inspire anything. And in fact, the people that immediately start talking about guns, I bet Charlie wish he had some more gun laws now, as if what? Like the whole time you're trying to disarm people, it's because you cared about us too? Cared about us too? I love that. Love how they take that position once you're down for one reason or another. They try to lend a hand to you. Fuck you. Let's see. Road Trip says Charlie died with his boots on spreading the message of Jesus Christ and bringing people together. An admirable example for anyone to follow. Rest in peace. Stowstube says prayers and condolences to and for everyone out there. Just sending as much good energy out to each and every one at the moment. I had a loss of words and thoughts just jumbled tonight. Kitty again says, hi, Frank. This has to be a horrible week. This has been a horrible week, and it's only Wednesday. The decline of civility began 2 decades ago with CRT and has been fomented ever since by mainstream media. We are a patient bunch, but I think the roosters are coming home. What does that look like, though? Again, the way I see it is, how do we start putting people into asylums again? How do we finally pull the plug, meaningful ways to pull the plug on what the media has become on television? Let them operate with them. I'm not saying you lose your broadcast license unless you have been caught in an actual crime. That would be something else. But I mean, if MSNBC, CNN, Fox, everybody just they're representing themselves. They can say that they're unbiased. We know that that's bullshit. I don't know how you can enforce that and make people disclaim we are partial to the Democrat Party, but that would be great. But on the other hand, if they're not committing any kind of crime other than having a political slant, which is totally fine, as long as it's out there on the cereal box, then I would like to know, I would just like to make sure that the pharmaceutical money is out of their pockets and everybody's pockets. I don't care if it's CNBC or if it's the Golf Channel. Pharmaceutical commercials need to go away. Your doctor knows what dick pills to give you, okay? Your dick doesn't work. They know exactly what pill is going to be good for you. Doesn't need to be on television. Yo, doctor, my dick doesn't work. I was trying to get laid last night, and my dick is as hard as a teddy bear's arm, and something's wrong. I need some dick pressure. He'll know exactly what dick pill to give you. You don't need any commercial on MSNBC. Oh, that's a good one. Doctor, did you know about Cialis? No, I didn't. I didn't. Where did you hear about this? The doctor. What? What is this new? Tell me about it. So that's just that's not even a way to just go. That's just something that needs to be common sense. You got to get these off the television. It just so happens it'll destroy the networks financially, which, then produce something that people want. Produce something that people want. You'll be able to pay the janitors again. I don't give a fuck. Okay, so what else do we have here? Jay Winard says, I have been told that Charlie was wearing bulletproof plates. The bullet fragmented and ricocheted into his neck. I haven't heard that, but who knows, will be published soon. Jay Britt says, I emailed the video of the arrest of a man with a rifle near the location of Charlie Kirk's shooting. It was posted by Citizen Free Press on Truth Social. Sad day, Frank. Indeed it is. Rhinoceros says, I think this was an op to silence up-and-coming generations because the entrenched powers know they can't win in the battleground of ideas. No, they cannot. No, they cannot. But they have also created, they have opened up the toy chest, and out came the misfits. The land of misfit toys. Okay? The water gun that squirts jelly. The cowboy that rides an ostrich. That's what has been created through school, psychiatry, and the media over the last 40 years. They created a raging, maniacal street force of lunatics. Lunatics. And we were told that mental illness is something that there should be no stigma around it. Oh, I believe so too. There shouldn't be a stigma. When you identify it, it has to be dealt with. And when somebody is, really having a hard time discerning what is real, then they need to be taken off the streets. They need to be taken off the streets, supervised. We need to start doing this again. We have to see better into what's creating people biochemically and, of course, culturally, so that we can get back to the way things were, 50 years ago. A little bit different. It's a little bit different, I think. That's the way I'm looking at this. Gino says, Francis, an incredibly sad, infuriating day. Prayers for Charlie's family and everyone else. I feel like I'm about to explode. Love to you and the family. ST says, so sad. Thank you for the place to find some solace. I was already so upset regarding Irina. Now Charlie, I'm so upset. God bless them both. As you as well, Frank, and all the Franklies. Rev says, Frank, look in Discord. Suspect released. Oh. The suspect they had, Rev, has been released? Okay. Fox News. 20 minutes, less than 20 minutes ago. FBI Director Kash Patel says the person who was previously taken into custody in connection with Charlie Kirk's assassination. I can't believe I'm even reading this. Charlie Kirk's assassination. It's sickening. I feel like a damn dream. Has been released after an interrogation by law enforcement. Kash Patel said the subject in custody has been released after an interrogation by law enforcement. Our investigation continues and we will continue to release information in interest of transparency. So, manhunt, I guess. Wow. Let me see. Let's take a couple more calls. 360, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, Frank. How you doing there, buddy?
All right. I'm just taking calls. How about you?
I wish I could be doing better. This is Joe, the old submarine guy.
Hey, Joe. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, I wanted to call and, I haven't got any words. I've been really hit by this thing. I really, really, really liked Charlie Kirk. He was a unique and extremely talented voice of reason. But I had a question just a little while ago. I'm on my way home from work, so I apologize for the background noise. But on my when I caught this little blurb earlier, this guy, I can't remember his name, but he was originally from Vancouver, not Vancouver, excuse me, Toronto, I think. And he supposedly was arrested some time ago for making terroristic threats, where he had volunteered to put bombs somewhere near the finish line of the Utah Marathon. And that was just one question. Curious about his terroristic ties, so to speak. And then I thought it was a weird coincidence that he shot Charlie from 200 yards, which, and I don't believe in coincidences anymore, but that is the same distance, I believe, that when Trump got shot in the ear. It's the same distance, 200 yards. I'm wondering, is that a weird message? I'm just throwing that out for what it's worth.
Well, you know.
But here's the thing I'm kind of really questioning. He was not an employee of the college. How does he get on the roof from the exact spot that he had to where he was able to aim at Charlie from that angle when he doesn't work there? It sounds to me that there's more to this than just this nutcase makes it to the roof and shoots Charlie per chance.
Oh, absolutely. There is no doubt in my mind. Just from and I just went and checked. It's about 200 yards, the same thing as Butler, Pennsylvania. There's no doubt in my mind, in anybody's mind out there. There's something bigger than this. The position, the skill level, and then of course the escapability. I mean, he's out there. I mean, this was I don't know, man. I just don't know. But sometimes everything you don't know leads you right to the most Occam's razor conclusions.
Oh God, I know. I'm not going to hold you too much longer. I've been wanting to call you in the past because I promised I would tell you some funny stories, like maybe of Mickey Mantle, Mrs. Babe Ruth, and Mrs. Lou Gehrig, and some other stories, but I don't think today is the right time for any funny stuff.
Well, I look forward. I definitely look forward to them, because there will be a time very soon that we're gonna need a little bit of a change of a pace from all of the stabbings and the shootings, and unfortunately, this is coming right out of what was a very joyous and life affirming weekend over here in New York, meeting so many wonderful people out there, and reminding myself what the good things in life really are. But don't worry, there will be a time, and keep in touch with me in email with those stories, because I'd like to put together maybe we can put a thread out of that and build that up and turn it into something bigger. That'd be nice. Just you don't expect to be talking about this kind of stuff to this degree. I mean, there's always shenanigans going on out there. But I wasn't going to let the news cycle get in the way of the good feelings coming out of this weekend. This has just been, damn, something else. But I don't know about you. But I feel like I got more friends. Like I've told quite a few of you out there that were hanging out at the Jamboree over the weekend. I miss my friends. I can't wait to see my friends again. That's kind of what it feels like. I feel like I got more friends out there, and that we're all a little bit more connected, and it actually makes dealing with this radioactive toxic sludge subject matter a little bit easier tonight, though not by much, but still, it's a little something. All right, let me take a call from Phil on Discord. Go ahead, Phil. Phil?
Yeah, I'm here.
Go ahead, Phil. You're on.
Yeah, I'll keep this simple. First of all, the comment about the 200-yard remark, modern ballistics, a lot of high-powered, what you would consider high-powered calibers have a flat trajectory to 200 yards, so that's not really a surprise there. The second thing
wait. When you say surprise, you mean it's not that hard for an average person to pull that off well?
No, it's an easy shot.
Okay.
I mean, if you've got, let me qualify that though. If you are a shooter, it doesn't take a sniper to pull off a 200-yard shot at all. It doesn't even take someone with that much skill, depending on the firearm, or I should say the weapon that's being used. The likelihood that it was a professional, though, in my mind, is quite high, because the likelihood of the reason that the actual event took place. And, you know, my attitude on that, just to keep this real simple and quick, is I try to take my emotions out of everything I think about, which in this case is really hard to do. But I also think about it, or I try to, from a logical other side point of view. And that is, you know, you first have to look at who stands to gain from something like this event taking place at the time that it did. And certainly coming up on the midterms, I don't think it's even questionable what this does to the midterm elections. And I would think that anyone who was so hard pressed to commit such an atrocious act would be politically, I think it's obvious in this case, it would be politically motivated. Well, if politics were your motivating factor, you probably wouldn't have done it right now before the midterm elections. If you really wanted to stir up shit and everything just as a way of life, you'd wait and do it after the midterms. Second thing is, when you're leading in any psyop or any type of operation like that, one of the things that you're looking for is you're looking for coordinated response that comes very quickly from both sides on the issue. And one of the things that I've noticed is that, you know, there's so many ways to look at this, but the one thing is, immediately all of a sudden we jump to a couple of different stories. Online, you jump to the trans story about, you know, and it is true, but you look at the fact that the trans genders being so responsible for so many of the shootings that we have. But when you look at the mainstream media story that comes out immediately, the right side immediately all jumps on, and granted, they had enough ammunition to do it, no pun intended. They immediately jump on taking a look at the left as these little what appear to be slip ups start to come out, which I don't think are actually slip ups, and I think they're done on purpose. And what I mean by that is the MSNBC statements about him being an activist and him being I don't remember the words they used, but almost in a deserving way, all the way to TMZ supposedly being caught in the background with people clapping or cheering that it happened. I just don't think all of these things are random. And, you know, I don't believe in that kind of thing. So to me, you know, there's definitely, you know, look, we live in an evil world. And one of the things I try to tell myself is that the more that this happens and the more bullshit that they throw in front of you, just time after time again, don't let it take your focus off of what should really be important to you. Don't let it pull you away to get dragged down into this murky bullshit evil world. Keep your focus on your faith.
I appreciate your rounding thoughts over there on that, Phil, because you know, there's a lot of people connecting dots right now and asking those same questions about you know, timing and who benefits the most, and whether it's the likelihood of a larger conspiracy versus just a sick person in a sick country who just happened to get themselves the perfect spot on the perfect roof with the perfect line of sight on the perfect day. You know,
right. And one last comment too on the bulletproof vest. I think what you're seeing is a vacuum that's created by a very high, when I say high, let's just say 3,000 feet per second trajectory or bullet projectile, and you've got a vacuum that comes in behind the actual bullet itself that could have caused the shirt to bounce out like that. And whether it be, well, let me just rephrase that. Most modern day ballistic armor does not react like that. That's not the way that it's set up. It absorbs the round. It sends a shock impact through the body, sometimes deep bruising, sometimes breaking bones, but it does not deflect off like people have suggested and end up going up and striking him in the neck. And again, it's not a hard shot to make. I mean, and when I say that, there will be some people that say, well, that's ridiculous. No, it's really not. If you've got the right equipment, you've got the right modern ballistics that are flat trajectory at 200 yards, provided the wind's not blowing, it's not pouring down rain, it's just not that hard. So anyway, that's
Okay.
my 2 cents worth.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Phil. It's always good to hear from you.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later.
There you go. There goes my buddy Phil. All right. So okay. Let's go to Rumble, because I haven't jumped in on the Rumble rants. Let's see. Right Stuff. The Right Stuff says it's time for political cleansing immediately. The left is a national security threat. I would like to hear somebody call it and say, here's my prescription. Okay? Because obviously you're not going to go door to door with pitchforks and torches and say who voted for Democrats last election. You're coming with us, and that's not the case. Where we are culturally right now is that there is mental illness has gone mainstream. Okay, mental illness has gone mainstream. Law enforcement has had its teeth removed. The medical system that is tied to mental health and everything else, and also tied to pharmaceuticals and then whatever the hell else, it's so much more enmeshed. And we've gotten to a point where we are mass producing uneducated, politically radical psychopaths. Okay? Uneducated, politically radical psychopaths. And the people who are supposed to be identifying these threats and getting them the help they need in isolated environments so that the rest of us can go live and work and be in a clean, decent society, getting on with our lives, while people who need help are getting help elsewhere in specialized environments. We're being gaslit about the problem, the source of the problem, and the cause of the problem. So that's the thing. You say, well, it's time to get going. It's time for action. That's what I like to know about, because this is where I see the problem is. Just like when you hear about one terrorist organization or another that sets up their headquarters right in like a playground or something like that. So if anybody tries to bomb them, they take out a bunch of kids too. It's not like, this is not the blue versus the gray. This is not crossing the Mason-Dixon line and finding your enemy encamped all over the place. Okay, it's different than that. It's virtual, it's psychological, it's media-based. A high-sized mind says the propagation of wrongthink is the leftist game. Charlie was using words to combat them. We're running out of words. No doubt. No doubt. No doubt. But here's the thing. If there is a Bolshevik rally somewhere, somebody's rallying in Untermeyer Park or wherever the hell you guys are, none of us are going to show up to a Democrat rally or some sort of a think tank or a meeting or something like that and pop off. That's not going to happen. That doesn't happen. They're trying to get it to happen, just like they have set up so many dangerous scenarios with the migration caravans during previous election cycles, and even 2020, where they sent all of the BLM and Antifa people, to light fires in and around the area of the White House and engage violently with the Secret Service, sending dozens of them to the hospital. They wanted deaths. They wanted, which would have been perfectly justified to use lethal force in that respect. They were upset that all they got was tear gas, but they still tried to use that. Donald Trump tear gassed a whole bunch of protesters last night, and then stood in front of in front of a church with a Bible for a photo op. You remember that? Remember that? That was the headline that they ran with, instead of talking about the real terrorism that was going on all throughout the night before. They set fire to a church, and they took down I don't know. Like I said, sent everybody to the hospital. The story that they settled on was Donald Trump tear-gassed protesters and then used it as a photo op opportunity, a photo op to be in front of a church with a Bible and take a picture. That's what it was. It wasn't that they had overcome an incursion by a bunch of insane black bloc Bolsheviks. These are the people we're dealing with. You know, they're trying to get so action is necessary, but you can't give them the action that they want. They want meaningless, aimless violence because they know how to frame it. Captain Wiggle says, this is tragic and devastating. He was extremely impactful. I'm beyond sad for his family and our country. Jay Semo says, excellent show under difficult and very sad news. I'm 100% in line with Mark's call-in. Can you tell us the link to his material? What he sent in before, it was just he said it was IFAK. It's a medical, listen, you know, if you're talking about medical preparedness, go to Blue Monster Prep. I haven't plugged them in a while because I've had so many things to plug leading up to the election, but Pat and Gina from Blue Monster Prep are still really great friends of mine. They're in the affiliates page. They take care of everybody in this audience because they love this audience. They have an incredible medical preparedness section. You'll get kits, specialty stuff, you know, sucking chest wound patches, everything. So I'm sure you can find whatever Mark Kernke had just said on Blue Monster Prep, along with everything else that any prepared household would need or want. Let's see. Humbini says, why is no one talking about the Smith-Mundt Act? Can we start there? So it's illegal to push propaganda through the news? Yeah, but, you know, it's a good point. But like we've said so many times in the past, Smith-Mundt Modernization Act, what was illegal in the past, like when under the Obama administration, when that became something that there was now a legal passage for domestic propaganda to be put out in 2012, 2013, when they modernized it in 2012, 2013, I mean, Operation Mockingbird was started in the 1950s. If you just want to talk about most famous military intelligence propaganda operations, where you have intelligence officers and officials really, you know, dictating the culture in newsrooms and radio stations and television stations across the country. That's 1950. So what did the Smith-Mundt Act do to prevent all that? You know, that's what I usually come back around to whenever somebody brings that up, and it's a valid point. It's not that it's an invalid point, but we're still talking about codifying rules that people don't follow, that they don't follow rules. Gypsy Princess 75 says, Frank, check out the Discord. The subject has been released. I got that before. Thank you, Gypsy. Let me see what else here. The original O.J. Clinton says, some days I feel like we're just remainders of the rapture. R.I.P. Charlie. Oh, God forbid. Let's see here. Haywood says we all have the constitutional right to carry protection and the right to protect others regardless of state laws. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land. Miss Day Dawn says, I just wanted to give my respects to Charlie and his message. What a wonderfully divine man who came from a higher place to execute his mission and help his fellow humans. His spirit lives on. Valsky says, anguish over Irina in Charlotte, North Carolina has been multiplied with the loss of Charlie Kirk. I'm short hop away from anger now. Well, I felt anger, disgust. My stomach was inside out for most of the day today. Pablo Wenskabar says, God bless Charlie and his family, Frank, his family, and the Franklies and our country. Please watch over us, Lord. Amen. I was just told that the New York Yankees had a moment of silence for Charlie tonight. Yeah? And then they shouldn't have done that because now they're going to go and embarrass themselves and disgrace Charlie by playing like little leaguers. Moment of silence. Now watch us play like little leaguers when everything's on the line. Let's see. What's the score? Bet you any money they're losing. What's the score? Yeah, it's 2-0 Detroit. Bottom of the fifth. There's no way they come back from this. That might as well be 20-0. Yankees. Let's see here. All right. Gonna take a couple more. Well, here's one more round of things we have from Quite Frankly.tv. Condolences to all the family, friends, and followers. Charlie. This is from State Safety Net. No Stud All Muffin says, R.I.P. Charlie. He knew the dangers he faced and was ready to meet God at any time in the name of freedom. And as Abe Lincoln wrote to Lydia Bixby in 1864, in the solemn pride that must be yours to have laid so costly a sacrifice upon the altar of freedom. End quote. God bless Franklies. Nathan says, lock her up versus actual assassinations lock her up versus actual assassinations. This is not going to end well. Listen, it's going to, we're going to see worse. We're going to see worse. And personal preparedness is a big part in it. But as far as widespread systemic action, what is that? And I threw out at least a skeletal structure of what I thought. The rest of the gold pills I'm going to read in the after hours, in the extra innings that we do after the end credits, because it is 8:47 and I want to take a minute to do this. I want to put something up on screen for you. And where is it? Here we go. One moment. All right, here you go. So tonight, I was talking with my buddy Chad on Discord, who's helping me with the thumbnails tonight, and he said, I got an idea for the thumbnail for tonight's show. And he says, hear me out. I said, well, let's hear it. And this is what you guys have right now. He said, this art piece is called Sanctuary, Edward IV and Lancastrian Fugitives at Tewkesbury Abbey. Painted by Richard Burchett in 1867, depicts a pivotal moment during the Wars of the Roses, specifically the aftermath in the Battle of Tewkesbury on May 4th, 1471. The painting captures King Edward IV of England pursuing Lancastrian forces who had sought sanctuary within the sacred walls of Tewkesbury Abbey in Gloucestershire. According to historical accounts, despite the fugitives' plea for refuge, Edward IV did not honor the sanctuary. The men were dragged out, tried, and executed in Tewkesbury, an act so violent that the abbey required reconsecration. Two things are true, Frank, said Chad. First, sanctuaries are created from a base level of humanity that in our most desperate and vulnerable moments we can find a refuge, even if only temporarily. Second, there are those who would violate the principle of sanctuary if they are fervently motivated enough to break the spirit of those that they subjugate. Today was about tearing down sanctuaries, a public assassination surrounding ideology, and a shooting at a school. The strength of our sanctuaries comes from our families, friendships, and communities. It is a ground-up thing. The world can be made to crumble around us, but we can focus on the things that make our sanctuaries. Love, respect, and community. And amid the shit, we can come away from today by doing something to bring light into others' lives. But if we choose to do so, only if we choose to do so. I think there's been a perversion of the term sanctuary by progressives. They have applied the weaponized empathy to the term to make it seem political, but at its core, it is a hope for peace that every human has the ability to grant one another. Now, I love that view of things, and it's a beautiful work of art, and I wanted to put that out there. There is one other thing there, though. those who have perverted the term sanctuary, those who have perverted the sanctuary itself. It's not even just the term. Those who have perverted the sanctuary itself. Do we not, like King Edward IV, at times go into the sanctuary and say, we're rooting you out. You are being rooted out where we find you. That you're not going to hold our principles and what used to be it used to be a base level of humanity, a church, whatever the hell it is, something that we held in common. This is a sanctuary. And for all the reasons that we hold dear. We don't have a lot in common anymore. And the battle lines that are forming, even though, like I said, they are not very physical and nobody's wearing uniforms and it's very psychological and crazy and bewildering. The battle lines that are forming are between two different nations. That's it. One is a complete breakaway nation that has absolutely no respect for any kind of tradition because every tradition is oppressive. Every tradition is oppressive and is rooted in some sort of a act of violence. Okay? That's what it is. So that submission by Chad gave me a lot to think about. Because yes, you think about getting together for intellectual debate and intellectual exercise on a college campus. And you think that, hey, this should be a safe place to do this. Now we know that has not been the case, but people like Charlie Kirk were not surrendering the campuses anymore. They were, persona non grata. Nobody wanted, and then they created a desire to have that come back. That's got to continue. No doubt. Okay, 8:52. We'll take one more call or two more calls, and then we're going to cast off into the after hours for a little bit. Let's see. 216, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Frank. So I'm sure last week you heard about Nick Fuentes railing against Charlie Kirk for his support of Israel and trying to steal his right.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting is what Harrison Smith posted on August 13th, and he just responded to the subject an hour ago, and it's that he posted, I'm not going to name names, but I was told by someone close to Charlie Kirk that Charlie thinks Israel will kill him if he turns against them.
Yeah, no, I saw that passed around today too. So has he?
Harrison said I posted this nearly a month ago. Yes, it's true. My source was secondhand, but it came up during a conversation about right-wing Zionist influencers. And I was actually watching Harrison today when the news, came over the air, and he looked really shook. And I didn't know about this, about his post on the 13th, but now I understand why he looked so shook, because that's quite the post, and I haven't seen that reported anywhere else other than on his Twitter.
Yeah, I don't know.
So it seems very odd.
I don't know. I saw all those things. I saw that passed around. I saw Harrison's post, and I've never watched like a Nick Fuentes stream, but between Instagram and YouTube shorts and reels, I feel like I'm up on everything, the latest that everybody's doing, and all of the whatchamacallits, the rivalries and the critique,
the infighting between the personalities.
Yeah. Like I knew I was there for the whole Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens thing, and I didn't even watch a moment of the actual sit down that they did, but I got all of it, just in dribs and drabs. So, I don't know. It's one thing to say in Harrison's situation with that tweet that Charlie, by some secondhand information, was worried that he would be taken out by any kind of an agent of the state of Israel if he ever started speaking critically of them. But
he was saying more things, like in 2023, the end of 2023, he blamed the Jews for funding cultural Marxism in the U.S. and then described Israel as the oppressor of Palestinians as victims. And he also accused the Jews of controlling Hollywood.
See, that was going to be my next question, because I never hear him saying anything like that, and heard him say anything like that in the past, especially over the course of the last couple of years. It seemed like he had remained pretty
steadfast in his support of Israel.
Steadfast, because there's always somebody that shows up at a debate and tries to drag him into that to see if they can get some kind of if they can get some sound bites out of it. And it's always
soundbite of him coming out against them. Yeah, he was reluctant to do it, and I think maybe we can see why.
Well, but that's right? The whole thing. And thanks for the call, because now I have to wrap up. That's the whole thing. There was no change, not a visible one. And if we're talking about secondhand information about fears that were expressed behind the scenes, well, why would there be fears if there seemed to be no real shift in what you're trying to say? Now, what is this? What the heck's going on? Can we just have one terrible event in this country with a simple resolution, for Pete's sake? Oh, we're talking about the guy that was in custody that was released. Gotcha. Okay. Well, listen. That's it for tonight. Hold on. Well, wait. There's another call. Wait, let's see if they call back in. I don't know what the hell's going on with my caller ID, but a lot of names. Let's see if they call back in. I don't know. A lot of names that were usually just popping up with their numbers are not popping up anymore. It's just numbers. I'm telling you, Zoom sucks when it comes to this. At least Skype had that down right. Somebody calls in, you get to store them as a contact so you know who they are the next time around. Yeah, I don't know. All right, well, we're just going to have to end it right here. We'll be back on tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. I don't have a guest that is lined up, but you know what? I have a feeling that we could probably do another couple of hours of talk and current events, what's happening, what your thoughts. I'm sure that we're going to be neck deep in all types of theories, and I'd like to do that with you. We've had hundreds and hundreds of calls come in tonight, and I really hope you show up again tomorrow night. It's 7 o'clock Eastern time. We will be here, and we're also going to do a half hour extra after the end credits goes up. That'll be on pilled.net on quitefrankly.tv. So if you want to call in, if you want to keep calling, I will read the chat rooms tonight. Hold on. Let's go. Here you go. I'll read the general chat on pilled.net and quitefrankly.tv. I'll read that general chat. I will shut up, Frank. But I'll also take calls too. So I'll take an extra half hour of calls. And then tomorrow I'll be live at 7 o'clock and we'll continue on together. So let me make sure I didn't miss anybody on the super chats. We're good there. And I think we're good there too. We're all set. Until tomorrow night, make sure you subscribe, put your notifications on, or just set your timer. And you know what? I didn't want to plug anything tonight. I didn't want to, we're going to be doing a giveaway tomorrow, as you all know, the raffle for Keto Brainz. I didn't really want to. It's tough. You don't want to do that. But one thing I will say is the survey for Quite Frankly, the 2026 survey. Hundreds of you have done it. I really want to get at least 1,000 respondents for the survey. The link for that is in the description of this episode. Take the survey. It's 3 minutes long. Rich Barris helped me host it, and it's giving us some really interesting insight. Long and short of it, nights like this are demanded. People want to read. It's a lot of interesting things. We're going to do that, and I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Thank you, and keep each other in your prayers. Keep Charlie Kirk's family in your prayers. Keep him in your prayers. The repose of his soul. And I don't know. Do something that relieves the tension, makes you happy. It's one of those days where you can't really find some kind of silver lining, but God willing, we'll see each other tomorrow, and that's something, right? All right. Until later, and by later I mean on the other side of the end credits. We'll see you. I did it again. Every night I do it.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Goodbye.
All right, that's it. Thanks, everybody.